Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cop Talk. I'm Kevin Schroeder, and I'm here with my co-host, Captain Ed Merritt. Say hello, Ed.
Hello, WAC listeners. Hope you have a good day today. We have an interesting guest that Kevin is going to introduce.
Thank you. So today's guest is Joe Imperatrice. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay, great name. Okay, Joe. Joe has over 18 years in law enforcement. He started Foot Patrol. He did anti-crime, SNU, which is Street Narcotics Enforcement Unit, which is narcotics in uniform. You work plain clothes. You're in the detective bureau. You're a sergeant of detectives today, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, Joe, why don't you tell our audience your background and a little bit about yourself and the career?
Oh, I always wanted to follow my father's footsteps, right? Your parents always tell you they want you to be better than them, but my dad didn't know. I was always looking up to him. He was my hero, and he was a police officer in the 17th for a while. And greatest accomplishment in my life was being able to wear the same exact shield that he wore. Because if anyone knows the new United insignia, they have the little stamp on the back. His didn't have that. So in 06, when I graduated, everyone had these brand new shields. By the grace of God, I got the one that he actually wore, and it was hard for me because when I got promoted in 2011, I didn't want to give up that shield even though I was getting promoted.
So when you graduated from the academy, you received your dad's shield, correct?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
That's
it
great.
Was just, one of the most special moments of my life.
Kevin, you can relate to that.
I can. It was my shield, which is now my son's shield, was my grandfather's, my uncle's, then it was mine, and then it was passed on to my son. And so 4 generations of wear my grandfather's shield. Yes.
Special. And then, it's funny because they always tell you in the blink of an eye, it goes, and over 18 years on, I'm like, holy crap, where things go. Like a lot of cops, they get to 15 years and they worry about what am I doing in my next stage of life. That wasn't me. I get sentimental, I may get like a little babyish, and I look back and all the people that started with me when I first came on it. My grandparents aren't around no more. You have some friends that were on the job that either were killed in the line of duty, or some people committed suicide, or whatever the case may be. Tragedy struck. So, at 15 years on, I said, damn, I'm getting old, and I have to start appreciating life even more than what I do already.
So you came on. So where was your first command?
I was in the 7 in East Flatbush, and then from there I went to the 7th in the Lower East Side, East Village, whatever you want to say, because that and the 9th get always mixed up. Then I went to the 9 Squad, 1st Squad, Real-Time Crime Center, and then Detective Bureau Staten Island.
So you're cop in the 7 and then you made sergeant from the 7
Correct.
And then all these other commands you mentioned, you were a sergeant there, correct?
Yes, sir, yep.
And then you were in the 9th Squad, right?
I was, and
good squad.
Every command has some history,
Yeah.
7 was in 06. Dylan Stewart had just been shot and killed that November of 05, and then Frank Hennessy that January was going to a fake gun run, and he passed away. And you go to the 9th, you see Rocco Laurie and Gregory Foster when you walk through the door, on top of other names. And the 1st, there was a guy Artie that died, was electrocuted during Hurricane Sandy, and just incredible the history of these precincts. And that's why people always ask, is policing even worth it? Yeah, when you look at it and say, I want to do it because I want to honor these guys that couldn't make it home. I wear the uniform for a reason. That's the biggest part of doing this.
The first 3 commands you mentioned, I was in them too. 7
Incredible.
I was the 9th Squad commander for 3 years, and the other one was the 7th Precinct.
That's right. You were a commanding officer of the 9th Squad, correct?
Yeah, for 3 years. And when I first made captain, I went to the 7th Precinct.
Wow.
And as a lieutenant, I had the 7 Squad. So I think you have followed me a little bit.
Yeah, might have. I don't know if you know him, but there's a guy named Charlie Platt up there in the 7 Squad. He was a legend up there. That was my first grade cousin, first grade detective cousin. Good man.
What was his name?
Charlie Platt, Chicks.
Oh, I don't know.
So, Joe, what was your inspiration for starting Blue Lives Matter in New York City?
Well, as you guys know, former police officers, right? In 2006, every single, not 2006, but 2014 at the time, every time you turned on the TV or newspaper, he was bashing the cops. And it wasn't just New York City, it was all over. And then Rafael Ramos and Wen Jin Liu were shot and killed. And went to the wake. I'll never forget it. Rafael Ramos' wake. It was freezing cold in December. And you saw patches from everywhere. And as you guys know, you have more time on than me. You've been doing this a lot longer than me. You always supported each other, right? But 2014, I think, that was like the time where everyone really came together and said, enough is enough. We really got to support one another. And we started with these wristbands, right? Chris came up with these wristbands. 10 days later, what do we have? We had $12,000 that we raised, and we sat down with an attorney. I didn't know what a 501c3 was at the time, and I liked what I heard. I get my own personal credit card, and the rest is history. We got, 9 years in, raised over $3 million. Not one person's on salary. Just incredible. Been able to do some really, really extraordinary things. I'm not the voice of law enforcement. I'm just a voice. Going on Fox, Newsmax, Vice, Netflix, really cool stuff.
Right, you're out there spreading the good word.
I'm trying.
Yeah, and we need, back in the blue and Blue Lives Matter today, especially today. What's going on, Captain?
Could you explain to the audience what your group's mission is, so that they clearly understand what you're doing and what you're about?
Yes, sir. So it's to help the families of cops killed in the line and duty or diagnosed with life-threatening disease. And since, we're always evolving, things are always changing. And just recently we started a program called Blue Hearts. City Council actually approved us for $15,000 to go into schools. And it's not uncommon for police to go into schools, right? But with the climate that we've had, I don't want cops to be in uniform when they go into schools. I want the first thing kids to see is a human being walk through the door, no matter what their nationality or sexual orientation or what God they believe in. And you ask the kids, we walk in and say, what do you think we do? I think you're lawyers or doctors. And when we tell them we're cops, it changes their mindset. Right? We want them to see us. And then when they do see someone in uniform, it relates to us. And with the money, we want to be able to go in because budget cuts, man, it's happening everywhere because of this migrant issue. They can't do school dances, especially in low-income neighborhoods. They don't have movie nights for kids. We're going to put the money back in so that these kids can do fun things and they can do stuff with the cops. And we can have bouncy houses when the school time gets warm and go outside and then bring the officers in uniform. We also, ever since 2019, we fly in terminally ill children with cancer. I can't thank the NYPD enough for being by our side. Actually, this week we're flying in a little boy named Julian Galloway from Corpus Christi, Texas. And he's only 8 and he's got terminal brain cancer. And he's coming in, he's going to meet Cardinal Dolan. He's going to get sworn in by our NYPD Police Commissioner, Eddie Caban, see Tanya Kinsella, the first DEP, and see all of our units. So really special what this organization has become, trying to just do good things.
What are your long-term goals?
You can't be a cop forever, as you guys know that, right? And I'm hoping that with the doors that have been open, hopefully I could help people on a larger scale. When all this ends, I can't run Blue Lives forever, but we'll see what doors open.
No, you can maybe run it when you retire.
Yeah, well, you know what, though? I think this world, political-wise, it needs some hope. All the underdog stories, they make movies for a reason, so who knows? Political or going on TV full-time, we'll see what God has in store.
This case of Michael Martin, the boy who had cerebral palsy, he had some problem, right, in Texas, where he was being bullied.
Oh, yeah, Michael Martinez.
Could you tell the audience about that?
Yeah, I'm very glad he did. He was, 7 or 8 at the time. He shows up to school. He's got cerebral palsy, confined to a wheelchair, and it was career day. So he showed up in a police uniform, and kids tried to throw him out of his wheelchair. Wow. And at the time, his mother, what the hell? She gets pissed off. Why didn't the cops do anything? As we know, unfortunately, with these laws with adolescents, there's not a whole lot you can do. It really sucks to say that. Raise the age and everywhere else, these liberal ideologies. But we caught wind of his story, and we flew him into New York City, and he was sworn in. At the time, really cool stuff, and that's what we want to do. We want to make a difference in these little kids' lives, because the next generation, when we're old and gray and we can't even move anymore, we got to have police officers and good police officers. So we're trying to inspire the next generation to maybe think about it one day.
Joe, can you talk a little more about the Blue Hearts, the Blue Heart Foundation, and just a little more about that?
Yes, it's super cool because, people out there, the first opinion is, that the school system is very liberal. No, I don't think, not completely. It's great to sit down with people of all walks of life that really want police officers in their school, that genuinely want to change the culture of the way people think, especially with children, because my opinion, you go to high school, right? The kids already have their mind made up. We want to talk to the kids K through 8. Those are the kids you're going to be able to influence in a positive light. And like I said, man, sometimes that uniform, as great as I think it is, some people don't look at it that way. So if you're able to relate to kids, showing that you're human first, that you like sports, or you like something, it starts opening up a different conversation with these kids, and starts off positive.
Do you do some work with Arms Wide Open, with Merritt Riley's foundation?
They're the greatest. Merritt
Danny Sprague, Danny
the stuff they do for these children, and it's incredible, because whenever I have something with a kid, I actually call them up, like I have even with Julian coming in, and Danny Sprague will come and play the pipes for that little kid and surprise them. And Merritt right away is, what can I do? Yeah. And that's what you want. I was texting Merritt, last week. I said, we get along so well because we're like-minded, because we want to help people. And he said, you're absolutely right. So that's what I could say is, surround yourself with good-hearted people, good intentions.
Yeah, Merritt and I are good friends. We played hockey together. We worked in Midtown North together. And Danny Sprague's a great guy, too. He's also in the Emerald Pipe Band, as you know.
It's incredible human
beings. They do great work. Anytime you ask them to make an appearance, they do.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Captain?
What advice would you give to people considering a career in law enforcement?
I still think my personal opinion is dangerous. Has things changed? Of course it is, right? But it's the greatest profession in the world. You get exposed to some things that you never would see firsthand. I'd be lying to you if 18 years ago I told you I was the same person I am now. I'm not. Things change you. It hardens you up. You see death, you see good. You, unfortunately, like my father even said, you see more of the worst in people than you do the best when you're a police officer, right? But we need good people. Don't listen to this media. That's one thing that, Mayor Adams says that I agree with when he says, tune out the noise. Don't believe the crap you hear. Go to the source. Talk to people. Like we're doing with Blue Hearts, go into schools, give them the facts. Show them what it is from within. Because as we all see it, this is a dwindling profession. We got places all over the nation that can't hire cops. What the hell are we going to do in 5, 10, 15 years? And there's some good, talented people out there. So we got to hope that we can not sway them, but make them even think about the opportunity of being a police officer one day.
Now, police work has often been referred to as the greatest show on earth.
Yeah.
Right?
It is. The ticket to
Still
the greatest show on earth. Listen, back in the day, my father, I still remember when the Yankees won in '96, right? And my dad was on the job, and my father got me up front. I remember going to a urinal and Paul O'Neill was peeing next to me at the parade because of my father being a cop. Who gets to experience that?
Yeah. Joe, front row seat to the greatest show on earth, right?
Yes. Times Square, even in uniform. You watch the ball drop.
Absolutely.
People stand out there for days, and you're experiencing that. You go to, I took my son. That's the best part. When you wind down, you start appreciating things more, right? And my son, he's 6 years old, and I took him to his first Thanksgiving Day parade this last year with the floats coming by, and just amazing. You have to soak it up. And that's the thing, as a cop, I noticed too early on in the job, they just limited themselves to this box that I'm a cop. No, take it. Suck everything you can out of this job. Meet people, speak to people. The owners of these stores might become your best friends or your child's godfather one day, or vice versa. So definitely take it for what it's worth.
Well, one of my greatest experiences as a sergeant, a detective sergeant, President Nixon came to town, and I was assigned to that detail. And he had dinner with his 2 daughters and his 2 future sons-in-law and his wife at the 21 Club. And I was at the table next to him with some detectives. And when it was over, he gave out pens. He used to do that. And to this day, I have that pen, and I have the menu from the dinner that we had at that night. So,
and then if you weren't in law enforcement, would you have been there?
That never would have happened.
Exactly.
When do you get to meet a president?
Right.
And I met him twice, by the way. It wasn't the first time. There were two separate incidents. So it is the greatest show on earth.
Same thing. I got to meet, love him or hate him. I got to meet President Obama, because of all this. I got to meet Mike Pence because of all this. It's pretty cool stuff. Yeah. Chaz Palminteri, Sonny from the Bronx Tale, became a great friend of mine. We do great things together with his, Child Reach Foundation, raising money. Joe Piscopo, good friend of mine. Yep. Emily Campagno from Fox. Carly Ship. It's all because this profession. If I wasn't in this profession, Blue Lives would have never started. So I thank God every single day for it.
Oh, true. Very true. I mean, it's amazing the people you meet on this job, and when you meet people that will be friends of yours for the rest of your life as well. They become part of your family.
Yes, they do.
Joe, what would you say are the main issues, in your opinion, facing policing today in New York?
Legislation, number one. Look at the city council in the city of New York. Thank God Eric Adams is in office and knows what it's like to be a cop because he actually fights back. He'll tell them that this last, bill they passed, this isn't good. They're trying to have cops go out there and document every stop. How do we go from, you don't want stop, question, and possibly frisk, right? Because it's profiling people, but now you're forcing cops to stop people that aren't even committing crimes to profile them. How is that okay? Just like with the smoke shops a couple of years ago, right? With the Juul and all these, e-cigarettes, they were trying to ban all these different flavored tobaccos. But now all of a sudden you go to every single corner and there's a smoke shop.
Oh, yeah.
How does this make any sense? It's sick. And we need people. And it's not about, I say it all the time, it's not about Democrat and Republican. It's about right and wrong. Those days are out the window. Forget the parties. You want to run because they help you and support you financially. But in the long scheme of things, forget about it. We got to get together, no matter what background you're from, and start fixing things for the right reasons. Because if we continue down this path, we are doomed.
Well, common sense.
Yep.
That's all it is, common sense.
Correct.
You have an event coming up, March 23rd.
Yep.
This month, right? Well, next week.
Yeah.
March 23rd. Can you tell us about it?
So it's the Archangel Awards Gala. It's going to be our 7th year, and it's so cool because we're honoring Detective Dulce Vivi out of the 6-7 precinct. For those that don't know, Detective Vivi out there in crime in plain clothes, and I'll say it, one of my grandfather's words is mutt, who was a teenager, shouldn't have been behind the wheel, and Dulce tries to stop him. This kid takes off with Dulce hanging onto the side. Dulce is dragged, suffers catastrophic brain injuries, would by the grace of God, he's alive. And forever, his life and his family's life forever changed. We're honoring him with our Archangel Award. Carly Shimkus from Fox News is our guest speaker. Last year, we had 613 guests from as far as Australia. That says something, you know, especially those people that always laugh and they joke around. Well, I'm not going to Staten Island. Why would you have it there? Well, you know, almost like at Noah's Ark and things like that, right? If you build it, they will come. You know, we go to sporting events and we pay money to go see, you know, concerts. If people want to come and support police, they'll be there, and they've proven it. So I'm very honored. It's at Nicotra's Ballroom, 1100 South Avenue in Staten Island. And the Nicotra family, God bless them. They've been a huge supporter of not only me, but my organization. They're great people. And whenever I reach out to them, when it has to do with a sick child or, you know, anything charitable-wise, Joe, whatever you need. Incredible people.
Now, how can people purchase tickets or get involved?
So they can go to BlueLivesMatterNYC.org, and you know, up until about the second or third week, we'll be selling tickets, and we'd love for people to come because there's a lot of times they sit in that audience and don't even realize all the stuff that we do, right. And they're like, "Wow, incredible!" And you know, you see these line of duty families, and as you gentlemen know, you know, you see them at their worst on the front page of the paper, and then you know, right now we have 15 confirmed line of duty families coming, and people go up to them and just thank them and say, "You've been in my thoughts and prayers since the incident happened with your husband, wife, son, daughter," and that makes them feel good because that's someone remembering their loved one. So that's the most important part of the night.
Captain?
You're a full-time police officer. How does it feel to be doing that and running Blue Lives Matter at the same time?
You know, people tell me all the time, Joe, how do you do it? And I'm telling you, I'm not this crazy kook when it comes to religion, but I'm telling you, it's a higher power that keeps me going because sometimes I'm there too, saying, how the hell am I doing this? When God has a plan, He's gonna make you do it. And I believe too, when you have your heart in the right place, when you genuinely want to do something, because with Blue Lives, no one, including myself, makes a salary. You do it because you want to make a change. I don't give a crap about the Twitter likes. I don't care about the shares. I'm doing it because people need to know that other people care. This is a dark world we live in, and the only thing we have to give is hope. You know, we have to have faith that we can give people hope. So that's the goal. That's what motivates me. And, you know, when you have a child, you know, I say it all the time, women know the second they're pregnant, they know from that second, from seeing that positive and knowing that there's a little baby in their belly, that they're moms, right? But as a father, it doesn't hit you until you see that child come out. And your life is forever changed. As soon as you blink your eye, you're like, wow, I'm a dad now. I have a little boy that I need to look up to and be proud of one day, and maybe he does some good things, whether it's in law enforcement or not. My son needs to know that by helping people, you can go out there and really change lives.
Did you have any conflict with the New York City Police Department insofar as what you're doing with Blue Lives Matter?
No, you know what? I've been blessed. You know, I say it all the time. I think I'm the only person, you know, Kev, as you know, and Cap, other than being a union delegate, right? You know, someone like Pat Lynch or Pat Hendry or any other unions or a chief or an executive, never in the history of the police department, maybe even on a national level, has someone been able to do what I do. And I don't take that lightly. You know, this police department has trusted me. You don't see a regular police officer just get up there and get on the news, go on live TV, be allowed to do it. And everyone, starting with Bratton all the way up, you know, has known me and what I do. And they believe that I'm not going to go up there and embarrass this police department or law enforcement, because if I was, I would have been yanked a long time ago. My point isn't to go out there and start screaming and doing this rah-rah, you know, take sides or bash people. It's about showing how good law enforcement is. And you know, at sometimes difficult decisions, sometimes you have to go and say when law enforcement does something wrong too. You know, that's just true. But the main thing is focusing on blue lives and helping the families of cops killed in the line of duty or diagnosed with a life-threatening disease.
How do people contact you?
They can go to BlueLivesMatterNYC.org or Joseph at BlueLivesMatterNYC.org and email me. You know, I'm always there to try to talk to people. And I love when you walk in a room and someone has like a kind of a predetermined bias about what you may do or the name of an organization. And by the end, they come up and be like, wow, I didn't know that. I see things differently. It's the best thing you can do.
You know, about a year ago, DeSantis, he was out in Staten Island.
Yeah.
And you were there?
I was.
Want to tell us about that?
You know, it's pretty cool because, you know, from working hard and sometimes you don't realize it, right? If you put only like $1 away a day, it doesn't feel like a lot until you look back 5 years later, right? Same thing with this organization is I never thought I'd be in a room where someone who's going to announce he's, you know, going to run for president is there. And to see a gentleman like that, I think he has a bright future, and who knows what's going to happen in the future for him. He's doing great things in Florida. You know, maybe I end up in Florida one day. I don't know, right?
A lot of guys are down there, right? A lot of
They
guys
are.
and girls.
It's
yeah.
an extension of New York, but just blessed to be able to hear people like him and people of that stature, you know, because you want to be able to take a little bit from here and there and mold it into your own.
Now, your executive board, right? You have an executive board?
I do.
One person I do know is Sue Rapper.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's great. She's great. She was actually my son's investigator coming on the job.
She's actually my son's godmother.
Oh, she's great. We stay in touch via text here and there.
Great. You know, it's funny, they leave and everyone looks younger when they retire, right? And she goes to Pennsylvania and you see her all the time in the woods with her deer and planting her, vegetables and flowers. So, there's a lot of good people. And unfortunately, with what's been happening in law enforcement, Sue is one of those people we lost. That's a great human being that would have been a great teacher, would have been a great leader for the new cops coming on. And as happy as you are for them, you're sad for law enforcement, because if there were reasons for them to feel like they should stay on, right? Not that they were going to get some huge raise or something, but we got to figure out how the hell do we keep our expert police officers on this job to help the newer generation, because there's going to be a day that turns around where policing is back, where you can go out there like the Giuliani days, but who the hell's going to teach them if we're all gone? Right. So we have to figure out some kind of balance of keeping them or wanting them to stay.
Right. What's your thoughts on recruitment and retention, retaining?
It's hard. It's factual when they tell you all across law enforcement that they're losing cops. But what's kind of weird, when people leave here after doing 20, 25, 30 years and go and join another police department, they take all their experience from here and go to another state like Florida. That's sad. We got to figure it out. Like I said earlier, is we need this younger generation to look at cops in a good way. They create movies and books. Why? Because a lot of that stuff in the real world doesn't happen, right? But we have to find a way of giving people hope that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that this is a great profession, that, you might not end up being the same person you came out, 20 years later or 22 and a half years now being, but who the hell is going to answer that call when 911 is called, right? When people are helpless, because no one calls 911 because they're having a great day. They call 911 because it's the worst. They don't have any other option, and we need good candidates.
Besides New York City, you mentioned before, how many other divisions are there for Blue Lives Matter throughout the country?
We have 3 other, but the problem is in life, and I've noticed this too, is you can't ever clone yourself. No one's going to have the motivation you have. And, I don't compare myself to him at all, but Derek Jeter, right? There's one Derek Jeter. If he goes to another state, they're so grateful that Derek Jeter left New York or wherever he's living in Florida and came to see them. That's why it's so important when we go and help families in other states. It's like, wow, Joe, I saw you here or there, or, you and the organization come here, my co-founders, Chris and Carlos, and it makes it that much more special.
Captain?
You mentioned something before about Mayor Adams. You gave him credit. But are you aware that some of the problems are due to his policies? For example, he did not oppose the changes in how you handle disorders. And he says he did because he said he was against it, but he went with according to the lawyers.
Yeah.
Now, if you heard Ray Kelly's interview the other day, he said that's not good leadership. You don't necessarily have to listen to the lawyers, because the lawyers always look to settle things, So I wouldn't give him so much credit.
I just read that article with Commissioner Kelly too. What the problem is it doesn't matter who you are. When you're in that leadership position, you're never going to get 100% compliance, and everyone's going to go and say, I could do this different, I could do that different. I really believe that almost anyone that gets in there nowadays, unless they really plan on fighting back, almost like Giuliani did, they're going to have an uphill battle with this city council. What is it, 7 or 8 Republicans compared to 40 something? You can't even call them Democrats. They're off the wall individuals. They've never had jobs. They don't know what it's like to live in the real world, but they want to tell police officers how to do their job. There's something wrong there. And unfortunately, I don't know how the power came to them, but unless you're going to have someone that's really going to push back and not be afraid of going against your quote-unquote party, it's going to be difficult for some of these people to
I'll tell you how
up.
the power came to them when you did away with term limits.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's happened with the term limits being eliminated, with term limits being put in place, every 4 years or so, it changes. Before you had the same people consistently throughout the years, and there was stability. So now you have these changes periodically, and you have a lot of these crazy people on there. Politically crazy, not mentally insane.
Sure.
But, it's a problem with the city council.
It's a big problem. Quality of life, human beings, that's another thing, too. People think it's just blue lives with Joe, right, or being a cop, but because I've done all my stuff, I've gotten into, on my own personal, getting veterans out of shelters. How the hell do we have illegal people coming into this country, right? We stop making our mortgage payment, right? And the bank's coming. They don't want to hear it. They're taking your house. But yet these people get to come illegally, right, into the city that Ellis Island is here. The Statue of Liberty. All of our people, no matter what walk of life you came from, was an immigrant at one time, and they came with a knapsack and nothing in their pocket. They left their family at home. And we're making a mockery of what New York City stands for. People working 3-4 jobs, not knowing their families, because they turn around, their kids are grown up, because they wanted the American dream. How are we allowing this to happen? Right? I don't understand it. You got veterans on sidewalks, you got people in shelters, American citizens, but yet you have 5-star hotels that have, migrants, illegals, whatever you want to call them. And now they're going out there and beating up our cops in Times Square. beating them up when they come into their areas. How are we allowing this?
Because elections have consequences.
It does, but you know what? There's got to be more to it, because there's no person I've ever come across, no matter what party they're from, what they look like, that thinks this is a good idea. There's got to be a day where people say enough is enough.
Yeah, I think so. Staten Island, what's the situation out there with the migrants?
I think it's the greatest borough out there. Maybe I'm a little biased, but you know what? My buddy's Johnny Tobacco, and I saw my other buddy Curtis Leawood, you know what I mean? And we got Scott Lebedo. You know, they're very vocal, and you need that nowadays. Yeah. And sometimes
the station.
He's an amazing man. And sometimes you got to tell him, you know, easy. Remember, the cops are on your side, because sometimes things got a little bit hairy, but their hearts are in the right place. Yeah. And I'm glad they fought back. Vito Fasella, you know, Joe Borelli, Nicole Malliotakis, you know, Mike Riley. We can go on and on. You know, you got to stand up for what's right. Otherwise, there's nothing that there's going to be to stand up for anymore.
No, soon enough, we'll all be pushing back. That's
I hope
sure.
so.
That's for sure. Captain?
Well, I think we've had a very good interview with you, and you're doing God's work, and we're very pleased that you're here. Just continue the good work. And when you retire, you can continue what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. You know what? I don't think it's told enough. You know, it's people like you gentlemen that paved the way for guys like me, right? That you guys don't get enough credit, because I say it all the time. Yeah, there's commissioners and chiefs now, right? But no one remembers the ones that were here 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. So you guys played just as much, if not more, of a vital role in getting this city back. So thank you guys for what you guys have done.
Thank you. Well, Joe, thank you for being a guest today. Joe Imperatrice, correct?
Yes, sir.
I love that. And we thank you for being here today, and keep up the great work. God's work is what you're doing, and keep it up, and God bless you, and God bless your family. And but thank you for being today's guest on Cop Talk.
Thank you so much for having me.
President of the Blue Lives Matter here in New York City. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to another episode of Cop Talk. My name is Kevin Schroeder. I'm here with my co-host Ed Mamet. And God bless you, God bless your family, God bless law enforcement throughout the country, and God bless America. Till next time, be safe out there. And or you could also follow us on Twitter @CopTalkWABC. That's @CopTalkWABC. Thank you.